get into this. We're going to be reviewing this set with Melsac RD. This is a Dominican Kin player. John has put himself on, and it's he, him, right, John? Your pronouns? I know some people are like, oh, why are you asking that? It says John Rose. But just for the effort of it, I just don't want to like assume and then be abrasive or whatever. I just feel like it's easier that way. I'm assuming he, him. Correct me if I'm wrong, but we can move along. Yeah. No. So I don't know what the connection is like. I used to live in Indiana for transparency's sake, and I used to play Dominican players. Some of them were good connections. Some of them were not. There was a lot of struggle. So we have to keep that in mind. We're looking at the replay. We're not going to see all the potential rollback and lag. So that can factor into certain decision making, especially when we get into hit confirming and anti-airing, which can be more difficult in connections that aren't solid or consistent. With that said, there's also stuff that isn't connection dependent. And what I mean by that is we can expect to hit it even if the set is laggy. So we'll focus on that, but we'll focus on those things that we can control while keeping in the back of our minds that a perfect round is sometimes unlikely because we don't know what the connection is. All right. We will get started here. I use amateur nouns. I have not actually heard that one before. That is a good one, Neko. First note, Melsac did the right thing. He picked the grid. Pick grid. If you're playing online, pick the grid. First thing to do when you're reviewing a match. Pause it, turn on key display, and attack data. This is really important, and I'm already off my script, but this CFN, the network and the net code, gets a lot of flack for a lot of good reasons. But it is rarely talked about how good it is that we can actually analyze a match that happened yesterday, maybe 24 hours ago, frame by frame. And I did not need to be friends with either of these players. I did not need to know either of these players. They did not have to pay anything extra. CFN just literally records every input of every frame of every match you play online from the moment it came out in 2016 until whenever people stop playing Street Fighter V online. That's a lot of data. That is a shit ton of information. I actually can't even process how much like info and tracking is going on there. Thankfully, we don't actually have to analyze everybody's. We can just focus on our own, which is what we're doing here for John. So make use of that resource. I was the only person who's ever seen these reviews. That shouldn't be the case. I should at least be the third because Melsac has the opportunity to watch this and John Rose had the opportunity to watch this. But we don't always do that because it's too obvious in a sense and people don't even think about looking at it. But that is the first step towards strengthening yourself, is to reflect. And you don't have to do it in your fallible memory, which can be wrong. You can literally go look in what happened and see what everybody pressed at the exact moment that they pressed it. That gives you a lot of things to go off of. And it's the reason why I can feel comfortable charging for my coaching, because I know if I look at it frame by frame, I can tell you what happened and tell you what you can do about it. You will learn to do that for yourself later on. But that gets us into which matches should we look at? Well, you ideally want to look at sets where you lose. It's hard, it's not fun, it's frustrating, and it really, really sucks. But when you lose, you are given the opportunity to look at what didn't work. And your job as a player, in order to get stronger, is to see what did not happen and what went off. Matches where you win can feel good to review. And you need to look at matches where you win because you also want to reinforce good habits. You want to see yourself succeed. It's very important to see yourself succeed. It's part of the reason why training mode is so important. But in order to know what to practice, you have to know what you're trying to remove. And that's part of building good habits, breaking away from bad ones, knowing what not to do. And for that reason, I recommend for every one set you win that you review 2 sets that you lose. If you go on a winning streak and you don't have anything to review from a loss, then celebrate. Get your favorite beverage, drink it, watch where you win. That's good. We enjoy that. We take those. But if you're struggling, look at the matches where you're losing. Something's happening there. you don't have to do it. You're not predisposed to losing. You're not guaranteed to lose when the game starts, even if you're fighting Sean online. You still have the ability to win. Let's take advantage of that. So, with all that said, we know that John will lose this set 2-1. That is already a given. So we're not going to focus on the result because it's in the past and it can't be changed. It is irrelevant to us now. We want to know how we got there. Also, I missed somebody. I think that was that Zensari? I don't know what's going on with our presidents. I'll be honest with you. I am actually not going to focus on it too much because I did this match review, and this is a place where we can control what we can control. I obviously have my preference, and I really, really, really hope that Biden wins. But if he doesn't, I'm going to be bummed about it, and then I'm going to do what I've been doing for the past 27 years of being a black man in America, which is my best despite the circumstances. That's what I have to offer. And I know it ain't great, and I know it's not the most, and it might not be enough to stop you from crying if things go south in terms of the results. But you ain't gonna die. At least not today. You have another chance. Make use of it. Don't let things get so far ahead of yourself that you lose sight of what's in your hands, because that's what the people who actually want to hurt you the most want. They're looking for your helplessness. That's the first thing they want to establish in you. They work really hard to do it. Fight it. Just fight it. And yeah. That'll be all about that. Also, what's up, KLB? Alright. So we start out with a dash. You do this every single round. If it's on purpose, then it's on purpose. We can get into that. But you gotta know that you're doing that on purpose first. Alright? Because I've already noted it, I'm really not gonna belabor it. You're gonna see it over and over again. I'm not gonna comment on it anymore. Know whether or not you want to dash at the start of the round. Know that it's a habit of yours. Work on it because it can be exploited. I would be looking for it if I were fighting you. And it could just get you hit because it's dashing. That said, like I said, we're going to note it and then we're going to move on. This is a good punish. We're proud about this punish, right? We get a chance to do damage. We finish the combo. We get the confirm. All of that is good. We can talk about optimization, but I'm going to leave that for later on because it's a big chunk of time. It's honestly its own lesson, so we're going to leave that to the side and work with what we got. My main concern here is the hesitance in your follow-up. You do good work to get the hit. You block, right? You're patient. He tries to throw a fireball and instead gets an uppercut and you get the punish. That's good. And it happens a few times and not all of these uppercuts get blocked, which is unfortunate. But what you want to be able to do is turn this opportunity into a sequence, because a punish is good, a setup is good, a sequence is best. And that's what you have here, is an opportunity to set up a sequence. Learning how to do that is going to win you a lot of rounds without that much effort on your part, because the hard work is getting to the point where you can land a stand medium punch into a crouching medium punch into a special move. Getting to this point is the hard part. Executing it is difficult, but it's simple. What I mean by that is it's objective. You either did the combo or you didn't do the combo. You either know what to do or you don't know what to do. There's not a lot of nuance in it. It's very mechanical. It's rote. We could code a bot to do it. In fact, Capcom already has, and other people have. How do we get to this point is what we're going to focus on. But we can celebrate getting there. But the reason why I say that this is a bit passive is because without meter, this Ken doesn't have a lot of options to protect themselves from you. As you can see, he did a back rise off of your cycle upper, which was actually a good decision because it prevented you from getting the best possible scenario on the wake up. And those are things that we'll get onto when we go into training mode. For now in the set review, we're gonna just kind of put it off to the side. But you still have an opportunity to pressure this Ken that you miss here by backing up. This is okay, but it's not ideal, and it's something that'll come up over and over again as the set continues. The goal is for you to become more confident and comfortable understanding what you can do in these situations. For now, we just take note of it because we're going to come back to it later. So, we could talk about the jumps, and we will. We could talk about the roundhouses, and we will. But what I want to focus on is the importance of getting up, because your opponent does a poor job of quick rising themselves, and you don't often, but you're not getting the most out of your quick rise opportunities. What I mean by that is, though it's unfortunate that you jumped and got hit by this random heavy kick Tatsu, it actually kind of works out in your favor, which sounds weird, but if you look at the frame data, you'll see that after your opponent hits you, because you decided to quick rise, which was very good, and your opponent decided to do a run, you were actually +2. So this wake up situation is to your advantage, not the opponent's. Neither one of you know that. And you'll see your opponent chooses to do a stand heavy punch, and you choose to do a crouching light punch. Now, there are reasons to delay a button in situations where you're getting up as Ed, but they're against an opponent who knows how to set up Oki. In this case, we can recognize that when Ken runs after this situation, he's not plus. So it's actually our turn. Because if we remember, Ken being -2 means that we're +2. Well, that means we can hit any button that is 4 frames or faster, and without any EX bar, there is nothing Ken can do to stop that button from hitting him. And we're going to assume that we can get it on time because we can practice being +2. Or practice being plus and hitting a button in that situation, which means we can have confidence that when we try it, we'll succeed. We also want to make sure we're leading with our fastest button when we're pressing buttons on wake up, especially if you mean to challenge immediately, right? So here you do Ed's crouching light punch, which is fine as a pressure button, and it's okay as a meaty, and it can combo into other things, but it's 4 frames. Ed's standing light kick is 3 frames. I've opened up the FA Online tool here, and I've pulled up Ed's frame data. If you don't have the FA tool on your phone or mobile device, I highly recommend it. It is extremely valuable. I use it every time I play Street Fighter. You'll hear me and Mia talk about frame data all of the time. It consumes so much of our gameplay because it's really, really important. This chart can be really, really overwhelming at first when you look at it. To be honest, we actually don't need to worry about that much of it. What we're primarily concerned about at this moment is the startup column, the on-hit column, and the on-block column. There are other things we can get into, but for now, these 3 are the most important. When we look at Ed's startup column, we see that his crouching light punch is 4 frames, which is the fastest button a lot of characters have, but the fastest button Ed has is standing light kick, which is 3 frames. What that means is when Ed starts the attack in 3 frames, it will hit the opponent. When Ed does crouching light punch in 4 frames, the opponent, or it'll hit in 4 frames. Yeah, Titan, go ahead and you can do that. Maybe I should have let Mia handle that whisper, but I'm sorry. Yeah, Titan, you can make a FA tool command if you want. It may seem minute, and it is really. It's literally 1/60th of a second. It doesn't feel like it's actually all that important, but it is. Because if we stop and look at when you press this crouch light punch versus when this Ken does the stand heavy punch, you see this stand light punch? This is the first frame of the startup. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Stand light kick would have worked here. It would have interrupted the stand heavy punch that the Ken did and counter hit him. Crouch light punch was just 1 frame too slow. That got you crush countered. Now, in silver against Ken, who doesn't always know what they're doing and doesn't always know how to be safe, that type of inefficiency will work out just fine. I'll be honest with you, against a lot of players, that inefficiency can work out just fine. But it's an option for improvement. It's an area where we can do better than we did yesterday, and that's what we want to focus on. If we're gonna wake up with a button, we're gonna wake up with our fastest button, unless we're calling something specific out. Here, we just want an attack to interrupt this Ken. Use your light kick. I know it's not as much as you can get off of standing light punch, but it's a lot more than getting crush countered, I assure you. All right, pull this up. I feel like I'm doing a lot. Bear with me here, as this, again, as I mentioned, the first time that I've done this. Cloudman, yes, we will watch this fight replay of yours. I'm going to be doing a set review right now that may take a bit of time, but I promise you, if you stick around before the stream ends, we will get to you, and we'll get to as many people in the first come first serve queue as possible. But for now, John Rose has purchased this time, and so we're going to respect that, but I will get to it, Cloudman. I do promise that. All right. So we get crush counter, we get knocked down, we're in the corner. We can talk about pressure and how to get out of the corner later, but I'm not going to focus on it too much. We're going to look at another instance here where you missed an opportunity. And what I mean by that is you were able to secure a back throw and your opponent didn't quick rise. That's a huge mistake. When I saw this, I was ready for this whole tangent about why rising is so important and why you must rise. But I saw that you actually quick rise almost every time you get thrown, or maybe every time, which is good. You actually really want to do that. Why? Because you prevent your opponent from getting extra opportunities against you. When someone throws you in Street Fighter V, they cannot dash up and hit you without you being able to do something about it. Now, not every character has the same situation after they throw you. Seth is much more advantageous than most, and Ibuki in the corner is kind of outrageous. And there are extended examples, but nothing is so bad as getting back thrown by Ed and then not quick rising. That is a lot of time. You have so much time to do something here. So much that the game doesn't even count it. You could forward dash again with a button, maybe with another button, and the Ken would still be getting up. Instead, the Ken doesn't quick rise. More unfortunately than that, you don't take advantage of that opportunity. Instead, you're a bit passive. Now, we can talk about what to do if you're gifted with a situation like this, and we will. We'll cover it in our meaty training once we actually get into training mode. Cool. Thank you for coming through. What's up for you? Sorry, chat, if it seems like I'm ignoring y'all. I'm trying to focus on getting this information out, and Mia is lovely handling a lot of the chat. But yeah, this situation right here, this is a gift from above. This is a free opportunity for pressure, for a setup that could lead to a sequence. Sequences win rounds with every character, any character, against any character, against any player. If you can get a sequence started, you are winning, and you might just win big. Unfortunately, you don't take advantage of that. And so this corner sequence is less than ideal, and it actually ends with you fully in the corner. This is the worst case scenario. It literally can't be worse than this. There is no possible way for anything to go worse from you having them in the corner till 10 seconds later, you being in the corner. We want to avoid this at all costs. Thankfully, the solution in this case is pretty simple. Just don't jump into the corner. But we can talk about why it's not great to jump into the corner, and we'll talk about jumping in general near the end of this round. But for now, I'm going to focus on what you could have done instead in some of these situations. We talked about this Oki opportunity here, but we also missed a great punish opportunity right here. Ken does stand heavy kick. Ken can't cancel stand heavy kick into anything except V trigger and V skill 1, or maybe V skill 2 as well, but I honestly never see Kens do that, and it's interruptible even if they do. But we'll focus on what the Ken had in front of us. He's got V skill 1, and he has no V trigger. So we know the V trigger cancel is impossible. It literally can't be done. We know that the V skill cancel is possible, but it's even more minus than -4, which means this is a guaranteed punish for you. Don't want to miss these opportunities. This is a chance to go for the crouching light punch. It's an opportunity to go for a stand light kick. Both of those things will work here, but you have to know that it's an opportunity. Set reviews on your own time will do that. Going into training mode and setting the Ken to do stand roundhouse and then trying to block will give you an opportunity to practice this punish and find out exactly what you can get. And we'll do that later. But for now, we just want to note, Ken was -4 here. We could have taken advantage of that. Anytime you get this opportunity, it's like having a free extra credit option on a quiz. And the teacher just says, all you have to do to get these, 150 points, whatever the damage is, or, this 15% extra credit on the test is check this box. And that's all you have to do. And then you don't check the box. That's what a missed punish is like. It's throwing away free extra credit. We want to avoid that as much as possible. We get another opportunity here for more corner pressure. We jump again. It's tough and it's hard, but it's something you'll learn to do to be more confident. Luckily, this can let you out and you're back in the neutral. This spot right here it's the neutral ground. It's hallowed. What is it? The nooch, right? Being good at neutral, having footsies, knowing spacing, being godlike, and all that stuff people talk about. Like, people go on and on and on about it. And I'll break it down for you very simply. Good neutral is getting yourself in position to do a combo. That's all. It is the part where both of your opponents have the ability to, or both you and your opponent have the ability to move freely, do whatever special move, jump, backdash. You can both do whatever you want to do. Your choices are open. They're only as limited as your characters and your resources. What do you choose to do from there? This is a spot where a lot of people are uncomfortable. You're going to learn how to become comfortable because we're going to learn how to look for openings, to get punishes, to get setups, which turn into sequences. Sequences win rounds, and that's what we want. If your opponent gives this to you, take it, and you did that. That's a great job. Be aware of that. People will give you the space for free if you're willing to walk with confidence. Continue doing that. As the set comes to an end, I'm going to look at something, and I want to ask the chat this as we get to the last one. John Rose has jumped a certain number of times. I don't know if anybody has been counting along. I don't know if anybody has noticed it. I'm sure somebody has, probably going, yo, he keep jumping. Yo, why are you always jumping? I actually counted this ahead of time, and I know the answer to this, but I want to know if anybody else has. Do you know how many times John Rose has jumped, and do you know how many of those jumps have not been punished? Go ahead and let me know. I'm actually going to check to see how many people or what I missed in the chat just a little bit while some answers come in. All right. It was not 16, nor was it 69, nor was it 24. And it wasn't 7. Me, it was close. It's actually 9.
Oh, I thought I'm pretty good though.
There were a couple of jumps that you might not have counted because one got hit by a heavy kick tatsu, and the main focus would be, why did this kid just do heavy kick tatsu? And there were some that were air to airs. Nah, it was not 420. It was 9 times. And as Mad King pointed out, John Rose was hit out of a jump 6 times. So you jumped 9 times and you were successfully anti-aired in some form or fashion 6 of those times. That is a 66% anti-air percentage. For a regular silver, that's really good. But we don't want to jump that much. Why do we not want to jump that much? Well, we can look up in the top right end, next, right under John Rose's name, and see that this crouching heavy punch did 63 damage at the end of the round. We can look back over the other times where jumps happened and count how much damage was done prior to that. Just in this sequence alone, we see 80, and then we see another 80. That's 160. I know that Melsack did another crouching heavy punch earlier on that did another 80. That's 240 damage. Fam, that's more than your one back throw did. And that's life that was given to your opponent for free. Life is the most precious resource that you have. Well, in everything, not just Street Fighter. Didn't mean for that to be particularly deep, but maybe it is. Don't throw it away. Just don't. And I know it's easy to say, yeah, bro, just don't jump. It's easy not to jump. But specifically, be aware of where you're jumping. A bad jump is defined by where you're going to land and what your opponent has to do about it. If you jump in this situation, the only real place you have to land is in the corner, or else it's in front of the opponent for an easy anti-air for them. And Melsack has shown that he knows how to do it. If he didn't show it before, he showed it again. So you don't want to do that, especially if you have them cornered, because a cornered opponent has nowhere to go but towards you, where you have the option to anti-air them if they jump. Every time you jump and they anti-air you, that's free life you gave away, especially if you're in the corner. Now, are all jumps the same? No, some jumps are better than others. Some jumps work out for you, but you want to be very judicious. Just like dashing at the beginning of the round, you want to do it on purpose, not as a habit, because habits can be used against you. Decisions can be argued about.